One day, Yen Si saw a very auspicious planetary alignment. Curious, he sought news only to discover that the Venerable Lao-Tzu had decided to leave his position at the Royal Archives and renounce the world. Yen Si hurried toward the mountains, searching for the wise master, afraid that his wisdom would be lost forever. His quest was finally over when he caught up with Lao-Tzu near the Hankou Pass. Yen Si humbly approached Lao-Tzu and said, "Revered sir, you are such a wise man, and these are such troubled times. Could you write just a few words to help man understand the nature of things?" Lao-Tzu was so moved by this plea that he immediately sat down on the prayer rug that Yen Si provided for him. Then, with the stroke of his brush and a handful of bamboo sticks, the spiritual masterpiece referred to as the Tao Te Ching came to be. This book of 5,000 words contains powerful insights into the nature of all things in the universe. The Tao is considered by many the most powerful teaching the world has known. Please join us this week as we look into the Tao of Prosperity. Welcome to Aspire. We're going to be working on the Tao of Prosperity, and I'm going to redefine the very word prosperity for you and put it in a light that will help you. It is not something that you gain, it is something that you already are. Let me read to you from the Tao, number 67 in the Tao, dealing with the truest end of prosperity. I have three treasures which I hold and keep. The first is compassion, the second is simplicity, and the third is daring not to be first in the world. The Tao of Prosperity. This may turn out to be a bit different than you expect. Certainly the subject of prosperity has been an extremely popular one. We've had everything from New Age ministers to politicians and motivational speakers telling us how to get and use prosperity. After all, prosperity is your divine right. Even the dictionary's definition of prosperity is the condition of being successful or thriving, especially economic well-being. We spend a good deal of our time in life trying to be prosperous in a material sense only. In our society, it is actually a sign of power and position when we have the right toys, the right car with the right cellular phone, the right house, the right jeans. The pressure is on us to surround ourselves with these treasures, these beacons of prosperity. But Lao-Tzu asks us to see a different perspective of prosperity. He might have gone along with the dictionary description of being successful or thriving, but not in the material sense. Lao-Tzu talks about the Tao of Prosperity, or the greatest treasure, as having three basic characteristics: compassion, simplicity, and daring not to be first. Each of these is a state of being, an awareness that we carry from our heart. These teachings aren't totally foreign to us. This isn't the first time we've heard these teachings. Compassion is a word that we have studied in detail. We know that true compassion is not pity. True compassion is understanding and accepting that the world is in perfect harmony. Simplicity. Just take a deep breath and let it out, slowly and completely. That's simplicity. Simplicity has no extremes. Simplicity has an air of quiet and peace to it. Simplicity is moderation. And the final treasure, daring not to be first in the world. Haven't we always been taught the opposite? We are constantly vying for a certain job or relationship or possession. What if we don't try so hard to be the winner, to fight for the top? Daring not to be first? What about looking out for number one and survival of the fittest? Maybe the fittest is the one who fully understands human nature. Looking out for number one, then, means seeing number one as a part of the greater whole. The beauty of the Tao is that it is real. It takes life and reality and merges them together and creates a spontaneity and a meaning to life that is very rare. One of the things that I have learned and that I've loved about the Tao is that it not only offers us how-tos, but it shows us the results of ourselves. It shows us the depth of ourselves, that we are unlimited, and that prosperity does not have to be limited to new cars, to money, and to possessions. In fact, if we look at it seriously, if you take prosperity and limit it to money and things and objects, you've missed it. I know a lot of people, and I'm sure you do too, who have a lot of money, a lot of objects and things, and they are so deeply unhappy. They are possessed by the possession. And if you are possessed by what you own, you've lost yourself. And if you lose yourself, you've lost the most important thing in the world. And to regain yourself from that point of view is very difficult. Here's a little test you can take for yourself. If I took away all of your possessions, or something else did, the IRS, the government, life, whatever, and it would alter your life in any way, shape, or form within yourself, then you know you are possessed by the possession. The Tao is simply offering us something very unique. It's showing us what the real value of life is all about. Prosperity is the value you know about yourself. The value of you, not the wealth. Wealth is added unto you later. The value of yourself. Very few people know that. There are three ways in which we find that value. The first way is through something that we've talked about before, compassion. Compassion is a powerful element. Compassion is the ability to see ourselves and the results of ourselves in our own life based on the person that we are. Compassion is the ability to see yourself and to see that you have frailties, to see your human side, to see your desirous side, to see your hurt side, to see your greedy side, to see all sides of your nature, but not to take them so seriously in the form of being ashamed or looking at yourself as some sort of sinful being because you have these feelings. Compassion comes out of the whole idea of self-love and self-acceptance. When you are working with the Tao of Prosperity, the first thing that one must have is a sense of compassion. Compassion for yourself and your needs, and not to be ashamed of them, but to understand their origins. And this leads us to the second very important teaching. I hesitate on this one a little bit for the simple fact that explaining it to you, to the ambitious mind especially, can often be a turn-off. So forgive me just for a moment. It is simplicity. Our lives are so deeply complicated. Our lives are so complicated that we can't see what we need when we need it. And simplicity is simply seeing what you need when you need it, not necessarily what you want or necessarily what you think you've got to have. It is seeing what you really need when you need it. Now, when something like that occurs within us, when we really begin to see what we need and how it works within us, we begin to understand that everything is provided for us. You see, it's this now moment that holds everything. When you are present, in the present and in the moment, you have achieved great simplicity. A lot of the things that you and I think that we need, we don't really need. They are born out of insecurity. They are born out of fear. Sometimes they're born out of the idea that if we get these things, other people will think that we are smarter, better looking, more sexy, more successful. In our culture today, we are so hung up on success. To us, success is a car that we drive, a phone in the car, an important business suit, or some sort of important person. Power, money, prestige, these are all games of the mind. They do not bring us close to ourselves. In true prosperity, we are finding out that it is attaining to or having what we need when we need it. Not more, not less, exactly what we need when we need it. Sometimes this will take the form of money. Sometimes this will take the form of friends. Sometimes this will take the form of a business opportunity. Sometimes it will take the deep form of silence, compassion, understanding. And after all, that is the greatest prosperity one will ever have. In taking this avenue with ourselves, we come to understand that simplicity is the key to life. Our needs diminish, our wants begin to diminish, and all we are left with is all that we are. We try to fill our lives with so much gobbledygook in the form of objects and things and people that we forget who we really are. If I again took away everything that you had, and I was taking away, in essence, a part of your self-image, the way you think other people look at you, and that distresses you, then my dear friend, as the Master said, Jesus, we have lost ourselves and we have become very, very poverty-stricken. Simplicity. Can you believe it? It is one of the greatest teachings of prosperity. It's not wanting more than what is. It's being present in the moment and accepting what you have right now. The third, this is something called equality. We don't like equality. Let me explain to you a little bit about what equality is. Equality is wanting the common good for all people. In other words, the good that comes into my life, I want you to have that good. In whatever form it needs to take in your life, I want that to happen to you. It is wanting and sharing for the common love and respect and integrity of all living creatures on this planet, from animals to ourselves. It is the common decency, the common love of us all. In the world that you and I live in, where we are so bent on competition, when we are so bent on the idea of getting ahead of our neighbor, getting ahead of our competition, the value of being equal doesn't seem very important. And yet, I tell you, it is very important. If you don't want happiness and fulfillment for others, just as you would want it for yourself, you will never find it in your own living. It will always be elusive to you. You'll always be looking for it in another deal, in another car, in another man, another woman, another object, another thing. You'll have projects in your life to keep you busy rather than to keep you aware, to keep you occupied rather than making you available for God. And when I am not available to God because I'm so busy trying to make that next dollar or make that next deal or fill up my life so I'm not bored, I miss a whole mess of beautiful things. I miss meditation, I miss silence, I miss love, I miss God, I miss myself. I've missed the opportunity of my own life. And there is nothing sadder than having the wealth of the world at the cost of losing myself. We don't have to live this kind of life. If you don't look at the idea of the value of finding the common good in all things, the common life of all things, and the common purpose of all things, and letting others share in the wealth and in the love of life, you will find yourself narrowing your life down to the point where you look at life as an ambitious state, where you become angry and hostile, fearful, and feeling neglected. The Tao of the heart. It is a very strange equality. It's not an equality that we are used to. It's not the equality where we think, well, if I get $2 more than my neighbor, I must be equal. No, it's something far different than that. It is allowing ourselves to share in the common good of all. It is respect and integrity for all living creatures. The Tao of the heart. It works from the deepest sense of our integrity and of our being. So remember, compassion, simplicity, equality. They are the three most important qualities to prosperity. They make up prosperity. They don't come from the head. They come from the unconditional heart of life. Namaste. And now let's take a moment and allow the Tao of prosperity to fulfill us. Let me give you some how-tos on achieving the Tao of prosperity. And please remember, the Tao of prosperity is like nothing else. It has nothing to do with how to make you wealthier, stronger, happier, to be filled with more objects and things. It simply is teaching you how to be exactly who you are, to have an awareness and a presence within your own life. And if you have that, joy and happiness and fulfillment will follow your way. First, you have to achieve it within yourself. And then, as the Master said, all of these outer things are added unto us. So the first thing that we want to look at is compassion. Compassion is the ability to see the effect that you have upon yourself, upon your own life. Begin to look at some of the attitudes that you possess. Some of the attitudes that say, well, if I had $1 million, I'd be a happy person, I'd be a carefree person, I'd be fulfilled in some way or another. The attitude that says in our compassion that if somebody else hurts me, I have to go out after them and get even with them. I have to do something equally self-destructive and silly and stupid to make up for what they have done to me. Those attitudes are not attitudes of compassion. They are attitudes of the mind, of the aggressive, analytical mind. And that's what keeps us from true prosperity. We're so busy trying to get even, trying to get things, trying to equal up our life, to keep up with life as we see it with other people, the Joneses, for instance, that we misinterpret what life is really all about. It is just being yourself and realizing that God has already provided for you everything that you so need. The second thing is something called simplicity. Let me just say this to you. Simplicity is having what you need when you need it. And quite frankly, you want too much. You want more than what you need, and therefore you and I, wanting more than what we need, live in tremendous excess. We're indulging our weaknesses. We're indulging our feelings of inadequacy when we want more. The greediest people are the individuals who feel the most inadequate. And I think we all do at one time or another in our life, don't we? It's nothing to feel ashamed about, but it is something to look at. Don't want more than what is happening right now in your life. No matter how tragic your life may seem to be at this point, or how hurtful, feel the hurt. See the tragedy. See it as a symbol for what it is. It's there trying to offer to us a message that we're not seeing because we want out of it more than we want to listen to the message that it's trying to teach us. I know these teachings very well. I have had them in my own life. We want so much that we forget about what's really important. Listen to me for a moment. The value of yourself is not found in the things that you possess. The value of yourself is found in the person that you really are. It's found in your heart, not in the things that you own. And when it becomes important for you to find who you are in your heart, that's when you will truly be prosperous. The third thing, equality. Nobody wants equality. To us, if we're all equal, then somebody is not ahead of the other. And therefore, that person isn't feeling very good about themselves. We have this tremendous need in this country to always be ahead of each other, to be better than the other person. You hear people say, why don't you better yourself? Why don't you stop worrying about trying to better yourself and just be yourself? It is good enough for you just to be who you are. You don't need one more object. There isn't one more object. There isn't one more thing in this world that's going to make you a better person. Not one more thing. Just be yourself and respect the common right for every individual to have their good. When I do business with people, it is my personal feeling to do this. I want everybody to prosper. I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to feel their own sense of self-worth. I am not interested in cutting other people's throats, so I will have more. I have learned something through that. It has unleashed within me a deeper sense of love and wisdom, and it's given me the Tao of my heart. Practice these things. The Tao is not getting more, it is being all. that you really are. I thought it would be perfect if we ended this particular segment of Aspire on the Tao of Prosperity here in kind of an alley. You wouldn't think that prosperity is here, would you? But it is. And there is much prosperity here as there is in an opulent home, a millionaire's home. See, prosperity has nothing to do with how much you have, how much money you have, how many possessions you have, how many people love you or like you. That's not prosperity. Prosperity is knowing where to go when you need something within yourself. It is knowing within yourself exactly who you are and the value of yourself beyond your possessions. How very few people know the value of themselves beyond possessions. Here in this, well, one might say dirty little alley in San Francisco, there's as much prosperity here as anywhere else. Why? Because I'm here. And because you're here. And if you know the value of yourself, you take your prosperity with you wherever you go. So therefore, prosperity is not what you have. It's who you are. It is the way you are. It is the blessing of who you are. Remember the little definition I gave to you earlier. It's having what you need when you need it, without excess, either in limitation or in abundance. It's simply having what you need when you need it. This week, practice some prosperity. Don't look for it outside of yourself. Look for it right where you are in the person that you are. You are the pearl of great price. The value of you is in your heart. And when it becomes more important for you and for me to practice the Tao of our heart, we will find the prosperity that we so need, and our needs are met abundantly. Thanks for being with us. Join us next week. Namaste.